to Alton Little Theater, that's what I can tell you.
Absolutely.
Well, isn't she just so great, you know? I just love Linda Ronstadt. I really do.
See, you were born in the wrong generation.
I was.
CJ.
I'm telling you. I'd be a lot happier, I think, if I was born a couple of years earlier. Well, you know, we didn't put on
But then you'd make me older as your adopted mother. Remember that. That would not be. It's okay.
Well, you haven't even hit AARP age yet, you know? Come on, that's what Well, the reason is we didn't do our traditional theater open today because we're in this kind of interesting period here.
We're in a very interesting period. And even, you know, the leap year day, I was like, okay, he remembers, right? That it's still Thursday.
You're darn right.
I'm here. But yes, we are finishing our 90th season, but we're also launching our 91st season tomorrow. So the March show, which Alabama Story is our March show, as you gave the dates, 15th through the 24th, that's when you can save and secure the night that you want, even though we let people, season ticket holders, change nights if they have a trip or illness or something like that. But we are changing things up a little bit for the 91st season. And so I'll be talking to the audiences, and a mailing is going out to 2,700 people today. I don't think they'll get it by March 1st, but because it's being mailed from St. Louis.
That's true.
Our new brochure has it all the extra things, all the main stage shows, the studio series, the youth classes, everything.
Well, there's a lot going on. I mean, you guys have a shaboozy of a 91st season. And
we do.
But before we talk 91st, let's talk...
Next week we're going to do that, yeah.
Let's talk just how things went for Four Poster, because you had a little bit of a...
surprise on opening night with snow and ice. But 80 hearty people showed up. We gave them hot chocolate, anything.
No
they
way.
wanted. Yes, I was out there. They came and cleared the lot at 5 p.m. We opened the doors, you know, at 6:30, and I'm out there spreading salt and like, okay, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And most people just switch to Saturday night or the next weekend because that's always an option. But that sometimes does happen in March. We get that wet, pretty snow.
Yeah.
I don't need it to happen now.
No, we're done. We got
done.
enough.
We're done. I need to get through Alabama Story. I want everyone to come see this. You know how hard I have been fighting to get this show since 2019, and we do. In fact, there are 60 theaters now across the United States in 2024 that have been granted royalties, but we were the first community theater, and I think we're the first in the production schedule. Most of them are in the fall. So I'm hoping some people from all across the region will come, because I think this is going to go down like To Kill a Mockingbird, The Miracle Worker. I think this is going to be one of those plays that will be taught in schools, discussed, and a lot of theaters will hope to do this show.
Well, and what goes into getting the rights to do something like this? Because, I mean, I don't even know where you would start. I mean, it seems like that's a massive undertaking.
Well, you find a playwright, first of all, and then he was not working with a publishing house when I first found out about him. But there was a little article. See, if you read the papers and listen to the news, he was going to do a showcase at the Lincoln Museum up in Springfield in January of 2020. We all remember. So I traipsed up there, and he was all excited, and then COVID hit. And the museum, of course, being a state institution, had to shut down. And was shut down for about 18 months. I mean, did very little except work behind the scenes and work on their videos and catalogs and things. So I kept in contact, and then he did get a publisher, but I already had his address. Well, his email. Not his address. I didn't go to his house. I didn't go quite that far. He lives in New York, but and a small world story, Sean Brennan, I mean, who we just did his show Beer for Breakfast, and we're doing another one next season. He and his wife are good friends with Kenneth Jones, and I think that helped because Sean and I become email buddies, you know, friends. Right. And I think he told him she's really okay, even though she's kind of stalking you to get this show. But I just, I got it. Professional theaters are going to pay him a lot more. Yes. And probably have a 3 or 4 week run. I mean,
Right.
we have 8 performances this season, and I totally respect that. He worked for years and years and years developing this script, and I first liked it because it's just so beautifully written and true. Librarians have always been my heroes, always, and I cannot say enough about even the local librarians. Mary Cordes, I mean, everybody at
She's
the
my
library.
favorite.
Yeah,
One of my
they are
favorites, yeah.
just super, super supportive, and I know how hard they work. And they help people not just find a book, but to find information. And a story that I just heard reminded me, when my husband was diagnosed in 2010 with a very rare form of cancer, I went to the library just to get him a book, try and take his mind off things. And I talked to Stephanie Munson and a lot of people, and they all did research and really helped me educate myself about what was going on with him. And we're just so supportive through that whole process, the hours and hours of chemo. I just got him every mystery book and everything he loves so much. So I will always remember that.
Well, you're right, because I say it on the show because Hayner joins us twice a month on our daily show, and we talk about all those resources, but just the opportunities that are available with your local library, because no one realizes all the different programs and opportunities that await you. And it's not just here, but I mean, it's all over. You look that these libraries are really the community resource.
They are. And Alabama Story is based on a true story of one librarian, Emily Wheelock Reed, but she also then dedicates so much of her career to Julia Hampton Morgan, who was the librarian that she replaced in Montgomery, Alabama. So all of the characters are either true characters, or a few are amalgamations of a couple of senators and representatives. And the playwright says, out of respect to family members who might still be living or something. I mean, he went to a lot of work to ensure that no one was offended by the characterizations, even though some of them aren't so great.
Well, and to me, this is one of those stories where, just from hearing from you, I mean, this is kind of a big undertaking, because this has so much meaning to it. You know, I'm sure all the work that you're putting in to make sure that this goes off the way it's supposed to, and then your talented performers that are there on stage, I'm sure, really just eating this up, because this is going to be a revolutionary piece of theater.
I thank you, and I have 9 incredible actors and friends, people I've worked with before, and half of them are close to my age, and we were all alive, children, but alive in 1959. Half of them are younger, and it's almost inconceivable to them how things were in terms of segregated libraries and locked fences and benches that say whites only. And I am proud and yet somewhat taken aback by the things even that I was exposed to growing up. I had a wonderful early childhood growing up in Louisiana, but not everyone did.
Yeah.
And I am fully aware of that. And yet this play, it isn't preachy. It isn't going to bombard people. There's humor. I mean, these are real people.
Right.
And they laugh and they kid around. They fall in love. They have funny things happen. They have sad things happen. That's what makes it a great play. These are very accessible, flawed even people. All of them have a certain blindness about them. And again, we discovered that through knowledge, people, like, the world opens up. I love the character of the young woman who has never read a newspaper and only reads these little poetry books, never been out of Alabama in her life. And suddenly she discovers that there's a whole world. She's never even driven, which was not odd. My mother didn't drive it until I was 10. And so that magic, and just seeing Jess McCauley just appreciate what that was like to be that kind of housewife and just have a child to raise, and then what? Then what do you do?
Well, and now my thought for you is, Mark, 2 questions for you. As a performer, you know, when you're on stage directing with Gail, how is it difficult for them to connect with these characters? Because, you know, you might read the script or read some of your parts and go, all right, this guy's kind of, you know, a little bit of a, you know, a-hole or whatever, he has his flaws. But then when you go through it, you realize that person internally doesn't think they're a bad person. They're just a run-of-the-mill, everyday human being. Is that difficult in some situations?
No, because I had control.
Oh, okay.
I'm not quite the softy that everybody thinks. And Gail was always my first choice. We had open auditions, but she is this character. One of the things I love about her, she is letter perfect in learning her lines. No business. I mean, she just absolutely gets to it and does it. And there's a ton of lines. And I knew she would anchor the cast and set the bar very high for everybody else. And she is reticent. Her natural personality isn't exuberant as mine is. And so this is a character that you don't love her immediately. She seems a little uptight and bosses her assistant around a little bit, but she's been so hurt. And we know that. She's also the only character that doesn't have a Southern accent because she went to school in Indiana. And you think, well, that wouldn't be hard. Oh, when everybody else is in the deep South and you are from Indiana, but I knew she could handle that. It's very easy. Like I can fall into it overnight.
Well, and that's what, getting back to just the overall production of this, how many light cues, is there a lot of sights and sounds that go into this, or is it more of a vocal performance?
Well, both, but the light cues, Dennis is probably going to die on Monday morning because time, it just flows. There's no ending until, there is an intermission and then there's the end of the show. But the set itself, and Kevin and Brant have done just a wonderful job getting this up in a couple of days because it needs to have this library and an office in the library, a conference room in the library, and then it has 5 other places that all have to just flow. And I had to figure out how were we going to do that. And then we have a narrator, sort of like our town. And that is, again, a real character. The author, Garth Williams, who was a brilliant and pretty famous illustrator, he decided to write and illustrate The Rabbit's Wedding. And that caused all the furor. Also made him a millionaire because I told the playwright, biggest problem of this play being a hit, you need 5 copies of The Rabbit's Wedding to actually make the flow where she has one in her desk, 2 are presents, 1 gets shown. It's out of print. You can get a first edition for $400. But again, the library, I had 4. I secured 4, 2 from England and 2 from here. And then I couldn't find the 5th one, and Mary Cordes got it for me through the loan department. So I said, that is the biggest problem in doing this show.
How long have they been rehearsing so far?
We actually started rehearsing in the foyer during the 4-poster.
Okay.
I'm not during the show. We would never make that much noise. But that's a very different animal than all the steps and everything that has to happen. They couldn't really envision the little coffee cart and even where he makes all his political speeches, because one of them happens in the audience. Now they've got it. They've got it. But I wanted that to be so intimate and so close. The set, believe it or not, it's huge, but it's also shallow.
Okay.
I did not want anything too far away because the librarian, she sits at the desk many times, and you can't have her be at the back wall. That just wouldn't work. You need to see the faces.
Because I was wondering about that, with how many different rooms and settings you're going to have in this. It's interesting. Definitely you'd be interested to see how you did it with the shallow depth, too. That really is talent.
Well, and then, I love Kenneth Jones, but he has her break a heel on her show, on her shoe, the very first entrance, and I'm like, really? Really? Because that's a little dangerous to do. And finally he said, oh, she can walk in and hobble barefoot. I'm like, oh, okay, because then I made the steps granite, so they have sand in the paint. She goes, oh, this hurts. And then you had hose because ladies wore stockings back then. Just those little things this is the week where we work all that out.
Well, is there going to be a lot of correlating for the audience in this, to where maybe they aren't word for word or, incident by incident correlating with current times, but is there going to be a lot of that going on, do you think?
Well, Yes and no. See, I've been reticent to even talk about the issue of banning books because then I know that people will say, oh, I don't want to just go hear people arguing about that. And that's not the heart of this show. But the fact is that over 10,000 titles in the country in the last 12 months have been at least called up or questioned, and famous books. In fact, probably in the story, the only one I didn't know was The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, because one of the characters, Tom Sawyer, is his favorite book. And then the senator asked him how he feels about Huckleberry Finn, and he goes, oh, that was too complicated for me. Well, it was actually banned in 1859.
Wow.
Because, again, a young boy and a black man, Freed, were best friends and hung out and slept in the same cave and, did all that stuff. So, we do touch on that because this is a big hoopla over a children's book. That 3 to 7-year-olds, which is the audience the book was written for, have absolutely no problem seeing bunnies that are brown, bunnies that are white, bunnies that are black. All the bunnies are just happy. They're just
rabbits.
They're just rabbits. And rabbit blood is not human blood. They're not our first cousin.
Well, I don't know. I've been to some deep parts of the South.
Well, yeah. Well, see, and that's where we are. We're in Montgomery, Alabama. And it's just fear.
Wow.
And even the senator, the old racist senator, he says, give it a rest. Leave the bunnies alone.
Well, and that's what I think is so... I love how you guys are doing this because you're right. If you were to make... If the promotion or the biggest portion of the performance was to be about kind of correlating that, you'd probably lose some folks going, I don't want to hear that. I hear it enough on the news.
Exactly.
But to have this to where you set it up and the way that the story is being told, I mean, this is just one of these pieces that it's a must-see piece of theater. I mean, 100%. I'm going. I'm 100% in. Good. I remember I had my hoopla and all that, so I missed 4 poster. I was kind of bummed I couldn't go, but
I have another part in a show next year I want you to come audition for that we think you're he leaps on to the stage, he hides, and then he leaps on, and I said, who do I know who can leap on with energy?
ring number 5 for CJ.
But true, I don't want people to even be afraid. This is a love story. It is historically accurate, but really interesting characters, and I think they will really enjoy it and not feel preached at.
Before we take our break here, I want to ask, just to get the audience thinking, what are some of is there any difficulty in your performers in connecting to their characters at all, or did you cast pretty well enough to where it really made sense for everyone? Because, I mean, it's a tough thing whenever you're taking a step in a time machine and going back to the deep South in the early the 1940s, 50s. That's no easy feat ever.
I suppose because I do love Southern stories, and so the people who come and audition for me, they end up kind of loving Southern stories too. And Just McCauley, she was my daughter in terms of endearment, so I was so glad she showed up. And I had not worked with Sean Williams. I'd seen him on stage. I know his mother. I mean, I've known him. I've watched him in Vintage Voices, but I had not worked with him before, and he's just a jewel. But I really feel for him. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's enlightened. He doesn't even really think that much about the stereotypes or the confinement that a young black man would have in 1959. So, I've tried to have some sensitivity about that and have him share with me if there's anything, particularly in terms of just what happens to him as a child in a memory. And he lives in the North but comes back because he made a promise to his mother that he would always help the church in Alabama. And those were very tumultuous times back then, but he remains faithful and comes back 4 times a year on his vacation days to work at the church.
That's just incredible. And we're going to keep talking to Lee Cox more about Alabama. Story continues after a brief break, but why wait? Get your ticket 618-462-3205 or by visiting altonlittletheater.org.
on your website that you host for us.
There you go. That too. I always forget about all those things, because they do so much upstairs that I just keep bouncing.
Oh, they just see I'm down here. My husband's upstairs. We're everywhere today.
They keep me out of general population, Lisa. We'll take a quick break. Get your tickets to Alabama Story, and we'll learn more about it right after this. Is it time to buy, sell, or even time to consider a short sale of your property? Meet Lisa Webb, owner of 3rd Street Realty. This local, women-owned, family-operated realty group has over a decade of experience in foreclosures, first-time home buying, and so much more. 3rd Street Realty prides themselves on holding your hand through the entire process. Let their expertise guide you to your dream home. Visit 3rdstrealty.com and start your journey with Lisa Webb today.
I just got a new air conditioner. Top of the line.
I bet mine's better. It's so efficient and quiet, I hardly know it's running.
I've got you both trumped. I've got a Linux.
So do I.
Barrett Heating and Cooling carries Linux products to meet any budget. Don't gamble with your energy dollars. Call Barrett Heating and Cooling and start saving today.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Welcome to Evergreen Place, a community that embodies joyful living, independence, and financial freedom for seniors. If you're looking for a full day of activities or to relax in your apartment, we have you covered. Located on the Alton Memorial Campus. To know us is to love us. Experience the difference at Evergreen Place.
DJ Mike Keith.
This is where I am today. Let me show you where I started.
Life's better when you're under our roof. That's because our expert agents will make you feel totally protected with the right auto and home coverage at the right price. Also, you can enjoy the dreams you worked so hard to achieve. American Family Insurance.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
When life throws unexpected challenges your way, you need a versatile legal ally to protect you. Sean Lentz, with over 12 years of experience, is here to help you in a variety of avenues. From personal injury to criminal defense and even semi-truck accidents, Sean Lentz has your back. Don't wait for the justice that you deserve. Call 618-465-8000 and see how Sean can help you today. Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ. You know, little Stevie Nicks as we're wrapping up the 9 o'clock hour with Alton Little Theater. Alabama story coming your way in just 16 days. Isn't it wild? Does it ever get... Are you used to the quick turnarounds at this point?
Well, it's been quicker the last couple of years, and Kevin Frakes would tell you that's all my fault. All my fault.
Yes, he would.
But coming back or trying to make a full comeback from those COVID years, they had 2 of them, to build back our audiences, we lost season ticket holders. I mean, people moved into nursing homes, moved into families. Some people died, and people were hesitant, I think, to come to live performances. There was health concerns, and we took every precaution and went to all the webinars that the Fox Theater did, and every theater is hurting. I mean, Stages is hurting, the Fox is hurting.
The Rep,
the Rep. The Rep is having big time problems, and it is phenomenal, but it's a lot more money, and so keeping our tickets reasonable, because we do not live in a moneyed community, and I'm well aware of that, but the expenses go up 40%, and the royalties, and I even get it, they went broke for 2 years on Broadway and all the professional houses, and they want to make more money, and I get it. It's very hard for a small theater. If we did not own our building, I don't know that we would be here.
Well, and you did it while keeping your mission the same, because it could have been very easy to say, you know what, guys, we're hurting so bad, let's open up the doors and let's start booking the venue. Because I'm sure you have numerous phone calls each and every day that say, Lee Cox, that building's perfect for what I got to do, but it doesn't align with what the value and the mission of the Little Theater is. And that's what I applaud you for the most, because you didn't change course and go, we're going to be a venue space now and then have theater. We're going to be a Little Theater always.
Well, thank you. And when you come see the show, I know you will see this, because Kevin said yesterday, because I told him I was coming down here, he goes, CJ is going to look at the main library and go, hey, we could have a wrestling match there.
We could.
It's got railings, because I don't need anybody falling off in the conference room when they're fighting and everything, and it's got great steps that go up, and so these I said no, we're not booking a wrestling venue.
I'm telling you, I'll be Snooki or Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and I'll be doing a frog splash right then and there. Well, and take me through so Gail is directing this with you, correct?
Yeah, she's assisting, but she's wonderful on the line drills. She's very detail oriented, and it was just a safety. I'm just coming back. I am able to walk and function. But I was never going to go through that time where somebody else had to just come in suddenly. I wanted her here from the beginning. I'm not having any back surgery until April, so I'm fine through the show.
Are you feeling currently okay?
Except I can't wear high heels, which sounds like not a big deal.
But for you, that's a big deal.
But for me, that's a very big deal. Being 5'8", I had to learn, and I was 5'8" when I was in 7th grade.
Oh, wow. So
I could either slouch or I could take pride in being the tallest girl in the class. So I always wore high heels and dated older boys. So giving them all away 20 pairs, I told you I took him to Goodwill. Somebody had a very good Christmas.
So do you know what's funny is that this, because you said that, I was always small. In 5th grade I was like 4'11", maybe. In 6th grade, I was like 4'11", maybe, and finally grew in 7th grade. But what you said with the older boys, every older girl loved the small, short, little cute kid. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
You were our best friend.
Yeah. But now I can't even get someone to spit in my direction, Lee Cox. I don't know what's happening. No, did you do auditions for Singing in the Rain yet?
Oh, no, that is tomorrow. I should announce that, really, in fairness. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, yes. Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 1. He's having open auditions, crowds, I hope.
You need a lot of people, don't you?
A lot of people, 35-ish.
We'll put an alert out for that to make sure people know.
Yeah, and I've had lots of 14 and 15-year-olds, and I love that they know the show. I love love that they love the
Right.
show. And some might look mature, but these are pretty much adult roles.
Okay.
But again, my 50s dresses are going to come in handy. And a lot of the suits we've invested in. Yeah, Kevin's like, could you just like do a show that maybe we don't need 50 costumes?
Just once.
Because there's no room upstairs. We just finished the 4-poster, which was Victorian and all her gorgeous dresses and things. But yeah, then everybody, after I clean them, we still have to put them away. We have to find a place for them, and we're really crowded. We have over 4,000 costumes upstairs.
That's incredible. Wait, upstairs?
Upstairs, yeah, there is a second floor. See, most people don't know that. You will notice the spotlight, and you think, well, how did they build that? Well, that is on the end of the whole costume collection.
Oh my God, I learned something new.
So
I really had no idea.
Not just the 4 buildings outside and the car and the trailers and everything else Kevin and I bought. But yes, the costume collection was Dorothy Colonius's pride and joy, her hat. And again, no matter how carefully you store things, material, like literally the material from the 30s and 40s, besides being miniature because people were smaller, it just rots after a while. So we try so hard to keep it at a certain temperature. That costs some money to keep it constantly cool in the summer. But I love going through the costume collection. And Corinne Jones, I have a younger generation who comes up and helps me now, and they love it.
Are you getting new younger folks in that are...
Oh, we are. Yeah, it's that 35 to 50.
Really?
That's what we need. Yeah. The younger kids that started with us when we started the youth classes and interns, 25 to even 35, I've got pretty... I mean, I always want more.
Right.
But you talk about busy people. It's those young parents, people pursuing their career, and they're like, what do you mean you rehearse 5 nights a week?
Right. Well, and that's I'm glad you brought that up because I hope the public realizes, and I say this all the time because my perception completely changed the first show I went when I saw Spam-A-Lot and realized, oh my goodness, this was not, I was kind of kicking myself for never going to a show before because you don't realize the talent that's there. I mean, you aren't going to see something that's ever a week performance at Alton Little Theater. No. And, even on the cast okay days, it turns out to be a phenomenal show for the audience. And that just shows the talent of your guys' crew and also your guys' ability to cast correctly as well.
And just keeping everybody healthy and keeping everybody safe during that whole run is kind of exhausting for all of us. But
well, and too, it's not like you have an influx where you can say, hey, Johnny Jr., you're going to be understudy for such and such just in case they get sick. There's just no way.
Yes, I did have a small role, and this rarely happens, but it does. The first person I cast, he came up with a serious health issue. He's going to be okay, but he lives far away, and he wasn't even allowed to drive. So then I filled in someone who got a fabulous new job out of the area.
Oh, God.
So Jim Lieber, optometrist here in town, he stepped in and he goes, I'm feeling kind of shaky. He said, I feel pretty healthy and everything. I said, don't you dare get sick. Don't you dare.
Don't even try it. Don't even utter those words.
The program is going to press. I am not recasting this. Because we have people who do drive 45 minutes or more. We get a lot of people from St. Louis, and we have 2 from Glen Carbon and Maryville in this show. And
well, that's what, Lee, I say a lot during my live reads for you, like I did at the top of the hour news, is you have folks traveling to perform for you. And I don't say this lightly, but I mean, we've talked about it on this show before. The actors aren't paid, they get incentives, but it shows.
I do feed them.
You do feed them, and you give great incentives, and you treat them like royalty when they're there, but they're coming out of their own pocket to come and perform for us, and that's a hell of a treat for the audience and the public.
And someone like Jess McCullough, who has a quality voice, top voice, but for her to want to do this play really touched my heart because she could get cast in 10 musicals today. But she and I did Terms of Endearment. We've done several dramas together, and we really do have a bond. And she said, I really like to do a play every once in a while. And we can't do many dramas. I understand people want to be entertained, and sometimes they don't understand that the best dramas also have humor in them.
Thank you.
And are visually very interesting and interesting stories. We just don't hammer them with serious.
I'm a drama person myself. I thought Violet Sharp was such an amazing performance. I loved the play. That ticked all of my boxes.
See, and our response to that, and that we were out on a limb. But our response from the audience said, okay, once in a while we can put in, but I read many shows.
Yeah.
And I love that playwrights send me shows. I love that because this is their hard labor. But I also know that it has to have kind of a universal appeal. There has to be something about the story that transports people into thinking about their own life. And see, I do think reading, we are in a little bit of a crisis, not because of the banning, but because of the internet.
You're right, 100% over. You're right.
Getting the kids off the social media sites and actually reading something. We know attention spans, and they just want it quick. Give me 2 sentences and tell me. And you cannot discuss some themes. I also know that parents who say, I don't want my child reading that book, or, no, I don't even want them knowing. I'm like, you have no idea what they know.
Well, exactly. That's the truth.
And what they're seeing. And so I really believe if parents pick up a book, if you see your parents reading, even the newspaper, I know people get it online. I still like to read it. But if you pick something up and you even get what they're interested in, and maybe you pick up a book or reference and find out something about they're interested in, that they're more likely to pick up books later too.
Well, and Lee, I still think there needs to be a law that bans social media for anyone under 13 years old, maybe even 16. I don't think they should be allowed on it. The exploitation of children's terrible.
It is.
And it creates a false sense of reality is what it's doing.
And that's my biggest complaint, is that the things that they believe are real.
Exactly.
And more with AI, that is going to become a bigger problem. And just devastating. I mean, children have become suicidal because of images, false images that were promoted about them, or things that they were said online.
I said it a year ago on the show, and I got people calling me a psycho. They called me an extremist because I said, listen, these girls are getting their profile pictures stolen, and people are creating fake Instagrams and putting AI-generated nudity on there and saying it's that person. And they go, oh, he's an idiot. He's just an extremist. It happens.
Oh, it happens so much.
But that's why I really hope that more young people get involved in theater and go back to I hate to say good old days, but go back to that time where we can open up a book and find our own imagination again, And one last thing, who won Best of the Best Country Love?
Oh, James Cupp, our brand new gentleman who walked in sight unseen. I had no idea.
Driver?
Yes, he was.
Bus driver. Okay, I didn't want to ask on the mic if I was wrong. He was wonderful.
He was incredible, and such a wonderful guy, and so appreciative. I mean, that $500 prize meant the world to him. Yeah. And I was so happy. We put it on the website, so you haven't even looked at your own website.
Well, no, the problem is I forget to read everything. It just keeps scrolling through.
Because you have to, but we put him on the front page because so many people want to know, because I didn't want to make everybody wait around. And particularly the Sunday crowd wouldn't have known how Saturday night voted. I knew, but, I love that. And it was close. The top 5 or 6, it was
I'll give a quick shout out to Lorian real quick, because whoever can belt out before the last teardrop falls, that's a pretty hard song to do. And you sang it, man, my hat's off to you, for real.
And he took second place. But he was very gracious. In fact, James told me that he said, I've never met nicer people. They all were rooting for me. They all just thought he was fabulous. And so did the audience. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it. It was the audience, and those old ladies, most of them just loved him. With
that being said, Lee Cox, Singing in the Rain auditions are Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday,
what
please.
Time?
10 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. And we will be there 3 or 4 hours each day. I mean, he really wants to have some choices. Of course, they have to sing, and yes, 3 of them, actually a little more, have to tap dance. But it's going to rain on stage. Kevin is going to make this happen. We're rebuilding the stage. It's going to have water pipes, and it has to rain intermittently. And it can't be a steady stream with the same. That's not how rain goes. No. And then we have to have a trough where it all gets and staying away from the lights. And I'm like, oh, please, God, be on our side. But I think it will be really wonderful for whoever gets to dance in the rain.
We've all wanted to do it.
I've wanted to do that number.
Lee Cox, it's 10:03 on this 29th day of February. You see, are you a leap year fan?
I'm not. I mean, I just never think about it. I have two friends who have birthdays on the 28th, and they hate leap year for some reason.
Yeah.
But I never really think about it, except it was one more day till payday. I mean,
exactly. Well, someone made a point. They said rent should actually go down during the leap month. Makes sense. Hey, all I know is you guys got to get tickets to Alabama Story, a hell of a play. We talked about it for over 30 minutes, and we're going to talk again next week on this, plus the 91st season.
Yes.
And all the fun that comes with it, but also audition for Singing in the Rain. If you haven't been on stage yet with Alton Little Theater, it's a hell of an experience.
We're going to have fun. We are going to have a lot of fun with this show. Wonderful choreographer, music director, some young, new people. It's going to be good.
And you can get more information at altonlittletheater.org. altonlittletheater.org. I'm losing my voice. This is not good, Lee. And you can call 618-462-3205. That's 618-462-3205. And start getting to Alton Little Theater and watching the best performers in the region, taking you out of the craziness of the world for a few short hours. That's, Lee Cox, an invaluable treat.
Thank you.
Top of the hour news next.